G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for watching my stupid contents. I really do appreciate it. England, Ireland, this is what I love about rugby. This was absolute awesome match to watch. I mean, everything I love about rugby was this. This game exemplifies it. Good hard running game, good hard defense, good, excellent, masterful, masterclass kicking game, like watching a chess match. And then my favorite aspect of the game, scrummaging, lineouts, mauls, perfectly, masterfully executed by the England side to keep themselves in the game after getting a red card just a minute into the first half, having to play with 14 players, one player missing in the four pack, to actually masterfully execute a game plan that saw the English side pull back from a deficit to level the match with 15 minutes left on the clock. And then the Irish team, the experience of Johnny Sexton, the overwhelming advantage of having a player finally caught up to England in the last 15 minutes. Ireland managed to romp through 2 tries within the last, 10 minutes or so, to close out this match 32-15. This was absolutely insane match. Twickenham was going crazy. Everybody was going nuts for England to fight through such a huge adversity with one player being red carded was such excellent, absolute masterful execution. Master level rugby. This was, despite the loss, this was just like amazing performance. This was absolutely amazing performance by England. And you have to be like, I don't even know what to say. Like, England found a way, okay? England found a way with one play in the bin to execute a very niche game strategy to keep themselves in the game and claw back a deficit with a player short. That is how impressive this game was for England, okay? This was absolutely unbelievable. So what happened in the game? The red card, let's talk about it. 1 minute into the game, literally right from the kickoff, Ireland on attack, James Ryan gets the ball, runs in, shoulder to shoulder bump into Charlie Ewels. And as you know, if you bump someone in the shoulder, your head's on the same level, head collision, and James Ryan looked like he got knocked out, like pretty hurt. And then the referee had a look at it. Under the current rules of rugby, that is a red card. There's no other way to talk about it. That's a red card. And you know what? If you're gonna complain, if you're an English fan, the RFU is one of the parties that opposed the 20-minute red card. So yeah, one of the reasons the 20-minute red card is not employed in the Six Nations in the Northern Hemispheres, even though it is in play in the Southern Hemispheres for Rugby Championship, is because I think England is one of the parties, RFU is one of the parties that oppose the 20-minute red card. So they wanted the full red card, full duration of the red card for the full game. That's what we got. At that point, Ireland just looked unstoppable. And the England defense was in shambles. And then Ireland put on a try right away. So this was looking pretty bad for England right from the start. And then you know what? Just good leadership, good hard determination, and just masterful execution of the game plan saw England claw themselves back, kept themselves in the game, and claw themselves back over the next 60 minutes to draw the game at 15 points apiece. This was absolutely unreal. Just being able to put up a defense again and again to disrupt the Irish attack, and then put up a really, the scrummaging, despite having one person missing, the England scrummaging was huge. Absolutely amazing. Dominated the Irish scrum. Could you believe it? If you ask me if England's going to dominate Ireland's scrum with 8 forwards, I would have said no. England dominated the Ireland scrum with 7 forwards and a winger. It was unbelievable. The Ireland scrum got penalized again and again, just because of English dominance. So there was, and also the lineouts. England were able to disrupt the Irish lineouts again and again, done really well. And the England maul, England likes to do this. Obviously they have one person missing, so they do this 5, maybe 6 man lineouts, this short lineouts. and they were able to set up more, like a small, compact maul, and that maul has done really well for England as well. Just consistently getting the forward momentum for the England side, and just something that you do not expect. And finally, the final strategy that England executed perfectly is the kicking game. The Marcus Smith was able to put so much pressure on Hugo Keenan. England was able to just perfectly line the chases to put pressure on Hugo Keenan again and again and again, to force those penalties, to force those turnovers, putting England again and again and again in a position to score points. Just unbelievable execution, masterclass. Listen, it was just masterclass rugby. Everything I love about rugby in this game, we saw it. In terms of scrums, the technicality, some of you guys might be like, you feel like the referee was being unfair towards the Irish. So how the scrum, kind of like generally what the referee, like there are some ones that are pretty obvious, like you can see like one player goes to the ground. Ty Furlong done a few times, he goes to the ground. There were a few like small ones that Ireland got penalized for just small management issues in the scrum. They got penalized for early engagement. They got penalized for, so there's like a rule called like break foot they just introduced for Six Nations. So the hooker in the middle has to have his foot like in front like this. They have to stand in front like this, kind of like this. You can't have a like level foot like this as a hooker. You have to put a foot in front like this, called a break foot, to stop what they call like a loading, basically. So teams tend to kind of like put the necks onto the opposition shoulder to load. So you have a break foot to stop the loading. That's basically the new rule. So Ireland got punished a couple times for that as well. And then also one of the reasons why sometimes the one gets wheeling. The wheeling of the scrum is not really like an issue. The issue is generally when the scrum wheels, whichever team is going forward or it's going forward is the team that gets the penalty, because you can argue that both teams could be wheeling, right? And England has done this really well with Sinclair with Sinclair, and just when the reserve came on as well, has done this really well. It's able to keep that left-hand side of the scrum on the England side, which is the loose-hair side, just that one step forward before the wheeling start. So England was able to essentially, if you look at the scrum, England was say this is England, right? And on the left-hand side, the scrum goes forward like tiny, so the scrum, you can see the scrum goes forward like one step before he starts to wheel. So that indicates to the referee that England is on the front foot. That one step forward before the wheel starts, that indicates the referee at the front foot. And that's why the penalty goes to England again and again and again. If you watch it closely, you will see it. England gets the quick one step forward before the wheel comes in. And Ireland just fell short on that. They just followed. They kind of like try to wheel the scrum right away. And England sort of just like let them. They just allowed Ireland to wheel, knowing that they got the front foot to go forward first. They get the penalty. Despite sometimes you might see Ireland technically look like they had the advantage, but the referee will look at some of those indicators, and that's basically how that's decided. So yeah, the run meters, if you can see that, just insane run meters for the Irish team. England was able to hold, execute a beautiful game plan. Twickenham was going crazy. 65 minutes into the game, what happened? Well, sometimes I don't agree with Sir Woodward, but Sir Woodward has pointed out in one of the previous games, England, I think it was against Scotland, that England was bringing on their reserves to replace players that are performing well. And that's literally what happened this game. England had a lot of synergy amongst their players. Everybody knew what they were doing. And then basically on the 65th minute, the reserves came out, and to my surprise as well, Don Brandt, who's already like a reserve that was put on due to the yellow card, gets taken off. I thought Don Brandt was doing exceptionally well, and he gets taken off because England wanted to have a fresh front row on the field, two props, and then also Elliot Daly. Elliot Daly was extremely poor. I thought he was just, I could not believe he was even in the team, man. Like, it was extremely poor. Like, I was embarrassed watching him. The first, the first, I would say the third try that really opened up the floodgates for the Irish team, Elliot Daly literally did nothing. He chased down the ball carrier, did not make the tackle, and just stood around the ruck. No urgency to put himself in a better defensive position. He just hung around the ruck, whilst Ireland gets the ball out and scores their third try. And Elliot Daly was horrendous. So I wanted to make sure that I'm not just seeing things with no evidence. So I checked the stats. Okay. Elliot Daly was on the field only 15 minutes. Okay. And he had 3 missed tackles. That's the missed tackle there. MT missed tackle. He made 1 tackle, 3 missed tackles. Tackle completion rate is 25%. I mean, in 15 minutes, you missed 3 tackles. Out of 4, I don't know what are you doing in the team. What are you doing in international rugby? This is absolutely not acceptable. And just like the England reserves came on, just like, you know, Don Brandt, like some of these guys were doing so well to get taken off, and then, you know, Elliot Daly comes on. Literally, why like this is a detriment to the team. His performance was a detriment than like an actual boost to the team's energy. You watch him in the last 15 minutes. He was like walking around, literally, with just being put on the field, and he's already walking around. I genuinely don't get it. What's going on here? It was horrendous. And yeah, the England reserve came on, really let the team down. And then you can see it. There was just huge like communication maybe issues between the players, and the reserves were just not on the same tempo, was not on the same not singing off the same hymn sheet as the team that was started the game. And 2 tries in last 15 minutes for Ireland. So yeah, if we look at the overall stats, Ireland overwhelming run meters. England was able to manage again exceptionally well. 147 tackles, 26 missed tackles. Ireland 85, 74 missed tackles. England has to do a lot more defense, but I was able to hold on again and again and again. 24 kicks in play, 22 for Ireland. Hugo Kinnan's kicking game was exceptional for Ireland. 2 50-22s for Hugo Kinnan. Was just unbelievable. Marcus Smith directed those high balls exceptionally well for England. Freddie Stewart needs a bit of work on his kicking. A few of his kicks was pretty poor down the field, which actually gave Hugo Kinnan the opportunity to kick those 50-22s, because he was left with he received the ball in midfield, was left with wide open options to kick, to find those 50-22s. And yeah, this was line out. England lost 3, Ireland 0 scrum. This was there was actually 4 scrum penalties against Ireland. This was really, really poor. So Ireland penalty count really piled up against them. 15 penalties, 8 against England, 15 against Ireland. At halftime, the penalty count was the penalty was 9 against Ireland, 4 against England, and most of these penalties are scrum penalties. So this was really, 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 like, England's scrummaging was really able to execute perfectly against the Irish side. There was a lot of they really played the referee to their advantage as well in those scrums, in those 4 negotiations. And Ian Henderson was guilty of giving away a lot of technical penalties against for Ireland, blocking his own jumper in the lineouts, gave away the penalty there. Some penalties at the breakdown, just hand in the ruck, flicking the ball out of the ruck intentionally right in front of the referee. Just small stuff like that gets caught. And Maori Toje dodged a yellow card. He pulled Gibson Park's hand in the ruck, and basically was like a meter out from scoring a try, and that should have been a yellow card. And they had a look. TMO Marius Jonker, the cheat, says no evidence. Despite watching the replay at home, you can clearly see Maori Toje reaching out, pulling Gibson Park's arm to stop him from getting the ball out quickly. And even the referee saw it. He wanted to check with the TMO to double confirm it, and the TMO says no clear evidence. Toje dodged a yellow card there. Quite interesting. But yeah, overall, let's quickly go through the game. So as I said, right away, a minute into the game, Charlie Hughes, red card, head collusion, gone. England had to play the rest of the match with 1 play in the bin, and you get the feeling that England already being the underdog in this match, was going to just right out lose this match. And sure enough, Ireland gets a penalty from that head collision, 3-0. And then he took 3 minutes after that. Ireland was on the front foot. England defense all over the place. There was just unbelievable poor defense everywhere. Basically, England looked really angry, looked hot-headed. The England scrum half, Harry Randall, had a bit of a hot-head moment, took a quick tap for one of the England penalties, and he gets himself caught. Ireland turns over, counter-attacks, and then basically immediately following that momentum and the scrambling English defense, Ireland finds James Lowe out wide, goes in for the first try, 5 minutes in, following an England penalty. So yeah, this was not something that England wanted, and immediately it's starting to look like this could fall apart really quickly for the England side. 10 minutes in, this is what I love about this game. First scrum. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen. Even with the full England side, I wanted to know who's going to get a bigger scrum. First scrum, England actually loses this one. This was Ty Furlong just did a number on the England team. And then there was, and again, things just look like it's going to get even worse, right? With a 4 in the team. 2 minutes later, England looks like Keelan Doran scores a try. England's defense was all over the place. And then there was just a tiny bit of knock on for Irish side. Gets a try denied. Second scrum, much better for England. England tidied up their scrummaging. It was looking, after the first scrum when Ty Furlong scored that penalty, it was looking like it's going to be pretty bad. England stabilized the scrum much better. I do feel like the England, the scrum put in for the England side from Randall could have been a little bit quicker at times, especially when if you're under pressure, right? So that's kind of like what happened in the first scrum. England was under pressure and he put the ball in a bit too slow. Should have just gotten the ball out quickly and then resulted in a penalty. But second one, England was able to stabilize scrum. Not much of an issue there. 60 minutes into the game, England gets the first scrum penalty. This was humongous. Imagine having a forward in the bin, having a winger attached in the open side flanker position or blind side flanker position, and England was able to get that scrum penalty. It was huge. Gets 3 points on the ball, 60 minutes, 3 points to 8. After this, Ireland starting to feel themselves under a bit pressure, looks a bit frustrated, start getting a lot of small handling errors. 20 minutes into the game, Ireland gets penalized again for the break foot in the scrum. Again, there's a lot of technical stuff going on scrummaging that Ireland just looks really frustrated, not able to manage themselves. 21 minutes, another England had a really great maul. Again, despite having a player in the bin, was able to manage those maul exceptionally well. A minute later, there was an offside. There was an offside from Ireland. England kind of gets the ball. They played with a lot of depth in the English attack. Finds Simmons out wide. Simmons runs into James Lowe. Just bam! Sits him down on the wing. Oh, it was huge here. Just bam! Sit down, son. Just trucked him over. That was amazing. And then, and then a few minutes later, England gets a penalty, right? And England are following that, this big run from Simmons. England gets another penalty for offside, right? This was a very kickable 3 points. England felt like they're a bit cocky, I guess, at this point. Tries to go for a try. I mean, kind of makes sense because your maul was doing pretty well. You tried it earlier, and then you are on a bit of momentum. I don't blame them, but they set up the maul. Cian Healy, the veteran, as Jamie George is looking to pass the ball out because obviously they're missing a person, so they don't have a halfback. So Jamie George has to kind of like get the ball out himself. Cian Healy sticks the hand out, knocks the ball out, and then Ireland recovers, runs all the way back to the other end of the field. Looked like Ireland was going to score. Oh, this was incredible play. And like you could not believe how good this was. And the ball, and by the way, the ball went back and forward during this period. Eventually, Ireland gets a line out from England 5 meter line out inside the Irish half to a 5 meter line out inside the English half within like 60 seconds, okay? That just tells you how crazy this game was going. And then on the 28th minute, Ireland gets a penalty for the line out. Again, Ireland looked visibly frustrated here. They try to put a high ball out, and then their own chases was offside essentially. This was just like looking a bit, like just not really managing, just a little bit of like really elementary errors start parting up for Ireland. And this was the funny part as well. So initially this kick was like 40 something meters out, and then Henry Slay, so Marcus Smith just a bit earlier than this missed the kick. So Henry Slay, this was like out of 40, like 45 or something. Henry Slay gets the ball, looks like he's going to take the kick. He lines a shot up, just about to take the kick, and the referee stops the kick. And then TMO tells him that the offside was actually like 10 meters further in front. So the referee tells him the offside is actually 10 meters further ahead. And then they're like, oh, okay. So now it's like, instead of 40 something meters out, it's only like 38 meters out maybe. They swapped the kicker, get Marcus Smith back on the kick, and Smith slides this one in, 6 points to 8. Ireland start crawling back a little bit. So 35th minute, Ireland had a 15-meter line out. They get a free kick for England closing the gap too quickly on the line out. They take a quick tap. England offside. Ireland piling on pressure, and then England gets, and then the ball gets kind of like sealed off. Ireland still has a penalty offside, takes a quick tap on the penalty, and you can see that Hugo Keenan was on the left-hand side of the field. He saw this, start calling for the quick tap. He runs from the left-hand side all the way around to the right-hand side, and then Gibson pass, take the quick tap, saws Keenan sweep around, passing the ball. England defense had nobody there England defense was non-existent due to this penalty. Runs in for the Irish second try. 36 minutes. Halftime score 16 points to 15. Despite having one play in the bin, the possession was 48 to 52% for Ireland. Territory exactly 50-50. England was managing the kicking a bit better. 13 kicks to 4 at halftime. And then carry meters at halftime. Ireland was way ahead of England. It was just literally double the carry meters England at halftime. The number that I have here it's a little bit inconsistent, but it's literally doubling the carry meters over the England side. But the one thing that did hurting Ireland was 9 penalties to the English 4, 3 scrum penalties against Ireland. This was really an issue. Second half starts once again. Ireland coming out of the shed, putting lots of pressure on England, and England was able to read the Irish defense exceptionally well. Like Jamie George was able to sack Johnny Sexton a number of times, right? Like at least like once or twice, he was able to sack Johnny Sexton before he can get the ball out. So England was able to read the defensive line exceptionally well, right? And was able to force a number of knock-ons again. And Ireland looked visibly just frustrated coming out of the second half, despite having a lot of advantage, having a lot of advantage, taking a quick tap following an England penalty, not taking the 3 points, and was not able to score any points. 45 minute, Ireland gets penalised in the scrum again for early engagement. The penalty count for the scrummaging is just going through the roof now. It's absurd, but England was not able to get much out of that penalty. 2 minutes later, there was a bit of a kicking game going back and forward. England looked like they had a bit of advantage over the kicking game. Hugo Keenan gets the ball, kicks a 50-22. He bounces perfectly, like it literally went straight. Like he was like in train tracks in the 5 meter line, kicks straight down, and the ball bounced like sideways, like 90 angle degree bounces out perfectly for him. 50-22, huge option for Ireland to try to go for another attack option. And despite that, the Irish team. Despite that, Ireland was still not able to score any points. So 49th minute, there was a big scrum, huge scrum by England, and this time emphatically wins the scrum. Like no wheeling, just emphatically pushes forward, and Irish scrum gets destroyed, fall apart. This was the biggest scrum of the match. I was absolutely losing my mind watching this. Decisive win for England, not a penalty on the 49th minute. So 51 minute, this is a clear strategy now England is employing. High ball to Keenan and having chasers in his face to shut him down. And this has putting a lot of pressure on Keenan. So they put a fight. They literally did this a few times. Eventually Keenan was not able to get away from the 3 chasers that was in front of his face, gets tackled, and forces the breakdown penalty inside the Irish half. This was easily kickable, 12 points to 15. England starting to find a way to get back themselves into the game. 55 minutes, Irish line out, obstructs their own line out. Henderson again gets penalized. In the first half, he also gave away a penalty in the rocks where he played with his hand, allowing England another 3 points there. So a minute later, again, second time on the 56th minute, England high ball to Keenan. He gets tackled 22, in just outside us to 22 meters, and then he knocks on the ball. Exactly what England wanted. A scrum just outside of Irish 22, right in from, and sure enough, Ty Furlong goes straight down in the scrum. Then there was a bit of Reece Packing, goes straight down due to tremendous pressure. England levels the match. 56 minutes, 15 points to 15. They found themselves a way to execute a strategy to win the game. This was unbelievable. Twickenham was going crazy. 62 minutes into the game, another 50-22 by Conway. This time, there was a lot of kicking game going on. Freddie Stewart did a bad return kick. Conway gets the ball, middle of the field, puts the ball out. 5-meter line out for Ireland. 50-22. This was huge. Ireland was piling on pressure. 1 meter short. The ball comes out. Goes to the win. Freddie Stewart intercepts the ball. He runs down the field. The entire stadium is going crazy. And the referee blows the whistle for a penalty. Mauro Itoje pulling Gibson Parks in the ruck to stop him from getting the ball out. And the referee says he saw that. He wants to double check if there's a yellow card. You can see it. You can see Mauro Itoje pulling, but Marius cheating Yonka says no clear evidence, and then Mauro Itoje gets away with murder here. But Ireland decides to take the 3 points for this penalty. 15 points to 18, gets themselves back out 3 points, and then 66 minutes. I've noted this down on my notes. Okay, I thought this was a bad idea. Don Brown comes off, 2-0 front rowers goes on. I thought, and Elliot Daly comes on. I thought, England had such a good, strategy going on, such a good, like cohesion happening at the moment. I thought this was a bad idea. I even noted in my notes when I was watching it live, this could be a bad idea, right? And sure enough, the reserves was really, really, really disappointing for England's side. So really, England's side, despite Conway gets the ball, makes a mistake, England has an opportunity to throw a line out inside the Irish 22. The line out didn't go well for England. Ireland recovers the ball, gets overthrown. So again, already you start seeing there's some kind of like miscommunication between the substitutions or whatever. And then Ireland gets themselves back in the front for the 69th minute. There was a bit of Doris. What's his name? Doris. Is it? What is his name? Doris, the number 8. Anyway, he gets the ball. He runs through the English defense already started looking like big gaps opening up at this point. As soon as the reserves came on, you don't really expect this. Huge gap opened up in the midfield. Doris runs through the middle of the field. He sees Conor Murray inside. He throws the ball, and Conor Murray knocks on. Wide open space in front of him. Could have been a try there, but that wasn't really gonna hurt Ireland. It turns out 71 minutes. England reserves really starting to show. This is where I noticed Elliot Daly wasn't making these tackles. Joe Marler was out of position. What can I say? This was Elliot. I don't know. Joe Marler, he's a prop. I can probably forgive him for being out of position at times. But Elliot Daly, man, like Ireland makes the break. Elliot Daly chases down. He didn't even make the tackle. He chases down the ball runner. The ball gets tackled near the sideline, about 5 meters short. Daly just stood there, looking at the ruck, behind the ruck, looking at it. He wasn't even like marking the ruck. He wasn't in the defensive line. He was just standing behind the ruck, looking at the ball. You can go watch this on the replay. This was poor. And then sure enough, ball comes out. Ireland just passed the ball to the first receiver. Conan was there. Runs in. There was no one there to defend because Daly should have shuffled him out to defend this. He just stood in the ruck and didn't do anything. Looking at it, this was really poor. So Ireland scores this try, and sure enough, 3 minutes later, another try gets put on the ball for Ireland. Ireland gets a penalty. They kick the ball out for a line out inside the England 22. Line out comes out, the ball comes out from the maul, right? Conor Murray spots, I think it was one of the big forwards first. I think it was James Lowe. Or maybe, anyway, I can't. He finds someone, crashes the ball, gets really close, and then Bellum gets the ball up over the line for Ireland. Easy as that. England's defense was completely shattered at this point. No one was defending the fringes following the maul. Something that the England forwards, especially should be defending. No one was there. Clearly, like, there's some kind of communication issue here. Leaving basically, I think it was basically Marcus Smith was defending this wide the wide channel between the number 9 and the ruck, and not the ruck, and the maul. So he was defending against his big guys running at him. Of course, he's not going to be able to hold on. Bellum goes in. Huge mismatch there. And that's the game the way it ended. Ireland gets a bonus point win despite England's huge effort coming back with 14 players on the field, 15 points to 34. And yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. This review has been really long. There's a lot to talk about. This was, the last 15 minutes, England really let themselves down with their reserves. Elliot Daly should be dropped. And, but yeah. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Thank you for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. See you guys next week for previews and news. Cheers.